but one of the things that you said last Friday when you were in Milwaukee at the Federal Building, you had a press conference talking about terrorism. Of course, you're the chairman now of the Committee of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. You have some input into this, certainly some influence. Let's do cut one. I want to get your comments on this if we could. Please hang on one second. All right, cut one, please.
If we start seeing these types of attacks, multiple attacks on our homeland, think of how our freedoms will be restrained, how they will be impaired, infringed upon, if we have to address a far more robust terrorist environment.
What do you mean by that, Senator?
I mean, let's face it, if we started seeing these homegrown extreme violence attacks occurring in every city in America, I mean, you don't think we'd be, really operating under much more restrictive police restrictions?
Well, of whom? That's my question.
Of government. There'd be demands for it. I mean, don't you believe that? If we started seeing terrorist attacks all over the place, I mean, we would have to move that fulcrum, that balancing point between security and civil liberties toward the security end of that spectrum. I think that would just happen. So, from my standpoint, the best way to maintain our civil liberties is to defeat this terrorist threat over there before it comes onto our shore.
But is the answer, no matter the threat, to limit the civil liberties of U.S. citizens in order to catch the bad guys? If I'm understanding you correctly, I think I would have a problem with that. Certainly, we need to do something. But what? I'm on a curfew now. I can't leave my house. I mean, what kind of rules? What would you envision if that happened?
I can't specify it right now. But let's face it. Right now, we have restrictions on our freedom because we're going to try and preserve our security driving down the road. I'm going to have to go out here and I'm going to have to go 35 miles an hour. I think it's 35.
Maybe you're supposed to.
I hope I'm going to go 35. I'm hoping the speed limit is 35, but we restrict our freedom. We don't allow us to drive 70 miles an hour down this road because it keeps us more secure.
But by reacting like that, is that not the point? Isn't that the terrorists want that kind of reaction to make us less free by the fear that they instill?
Precisely, and look at what they've already accomplished. Because of 9/11, because we were asleep at the switch, we denied the threat that Osama bin Laden posed. We treated this like just a criminal action. We didn't go over there. We didn't take him out when we had a chance. Now we've got the TSA. We don't have the freedom to just walk down the terminal and just go to our gate. Now we've got to take off our belts.
Off.
So that's what I'm saying. If that were to happen, we would see further restrictions on our freedom. I don't want that to happen. I want to defeat al-Qaeda. I want to move beyond Islamic terror so that we can move that fulcrum back to full freedom, full civil liberties. But under this threat, I don't want to see Americans slaughtered in the street. I'm willing to accept, and I think most Americans are willing to accept a little more scrutiny, a little more surveillance, a little more intelligence gathering, so that the police and the authorities can be successful in keeping this nation safe and secure.
Why would we treat it differently than any other criminal activity? I mean, we've certainly had large-scale shootings in the United States at schools and other locations. Brookfield comes to mind. That's perhaps not under the header of terrorism, sir, but it's still a horrific crime. It still has the same net result. I look at this Charlie Hebdo circumstance in France. I mean, we're talking about 12 people murdered. It is tragic. But does that rise to the level of needing our full national security?
The difference is it's connected. The other forms like Columbine or whatever, it is random. It's distinct. It might have been inspired by something else, but not an organized inspiration. And so what we're seeing right now is Al-Qaeda this was supposedly ordered from Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Was that a sleeper cell? We don't know the full extent of it, but it's connected.
It's the conspiracy, conspiracy beyond the individual acts of violence.
It is, and so in order to tear down that conspiracy, in order to break those connections, we do need that intelligence gathering capability, which is distinctly different from these random acts of also horrific tragedies, no doubt about it.
Ron, I don't mean to put words in your mouth. You're right there. You'll correct
me. Sure you do. You absolutely mean to put words in my mouth.
Ron, you seemingly have implied that there is fault to be laid at our President Obama's feet for this rise of ISIS, this rise of Al-Qaeda. Apparently, we've left the job incomplete, and you blame him. My words, not yours. But
I blame the Islamic terrorists. I blame the people that are massacring and killing people. But there's no doubt about it. I don't think we'd be dealing with this ISIS threat as severe and significant as it is had we left, like we did in Germany, in Japan, in South Korea, a stabilizing force to consolidate the gains won at such a heavy cost.